by working with the sales managers to determine the behaviors most important to achieving objectives, then develop a program to reward those behaviors in a way that motivates your team and rewards the top performers. So obviously we're going to be talking a lot about travel and travel incentives, but before we get into Special Events LLC.
Well, Grow with Special Events is a travel agency. It's a new travel agency. We're in our second year, and it's another business we came across. It actually turned out to be a natural fit from my transition from the Marine Corps, where I did logistics and other things traveling around the world. It's like, oh, I can actually have fun doing this as well. And I saw a strong need for travel agencies where we have so much information available to us online through all the different travel sites that you see on TV and on the internet, where people are just overwhelmed with information.
Sure.
They don't know what to choose, and if they do choose something, they're not sure if they're getting the best value for their dollar. And they might be missing some things that they may not be aware of, where a travel agency can help them with those things, find the perfect experience that they have at the best price, best value to fit their budget, so they do have the best opportunity to enjoy that time off that they have. And most of us only have about maybe 2 weeks a year.
Yeah.
And now, do you want to waste that time, or do you want to spend it the best way you can?
That's amazing. And travel is such a fun thing, right? You always want to travel. You always see those things like Wanderlust, and you want to be traveling in the world and seeing all that stuff. So when you talk about, really, let's talk specifically about the incentive programs. So your ideal client is sales managers or anybody that kind of directly relates to the sales side of the business. So talk us through kind of what that process looks like when you're trying to get them, educate them on why incentive programs are beneficial for their business.
Well, when you think about a business owner, or sales manager, insurance broker, owner manager, how do I incentivize my team to give me more than what I'm asking for? How do I get them to see something different that maybe I don't see? How do I get there? And one way to do that is through incentive travel. As we were talking earlier, if someone were to pay a cash bonus of, say, $1,000, we quickly go out to dinner, have maybe spend $100, $150 on a nice dinner with our spouse, and then when we get home, that money goes into the bank and it quickly fades into bills, and next thing you know, you're back to where we all are, living month to month, or week to week, or day to day, however it is you're living, versus giving someone $1,000 cruise certificate where they go and they spend 3 or 4 days with their loved ones when they haven't spent that time there. They've been working hard, they've been putting in the hours to achieve that result, to get those objectives, to provide for their family. Now they can take that family on a cruise ship and go out and enjoy time with them.
Yeah, what we were talking about earlier too is like, because everybody's working so much harder, that's automatically a kind of a cash bonus for them anyway. So not only are you adding a lot of money back to their back pocket because you're incentivizing them for something that they want, but you're also providing them with those memories. And what Randy and I talked about before the show started was, I have some of my best memories with my father's business incentive travel, and it's just such a cool experience, and it's nice that you can provide that for people. So a lot of times travel agencies or people that talk about incentive programs, they say, okay, well, you give me the program and we'll help you find the best price. But when we discussed your questionnaire earlier and we had our conversation, you said that you're really involved in the development of the program itself. So talk us through that process.
Absolutely, and that's where we're different than other travel agencies that may be out there, where they may sell you simply the cruise or the resort. That's all they want to sell, and then they're done. What we do is we meet with the business owner and determine what behaviors are going to provide them the best result, that objective. Let's use sales as an example, where I had a client of ours, he was an insurance broker, and he wanted to increase sales in auto policies, home policies, and what they call Cat 4, which is a specific hurricane insurance policy. And so together we developed a point system that rewarded the behavior. When he wanted to increase sales in auto, for example, people got more points for selling auto, which put them in a category to win the cruise, so they could go out and enjoy that time with their family. So there's different criteria when you're setting up the program. First, you need to identify what behaviors you want to reward. Second, you want to figure out a qualifying criteria. Now, this qualifying criteria should be the minimum level of revenue or service you want to provide to your customers to make sure that whatever you're going to invest in the travel is paid for. There's no reason for this to be a losing experience for you.
Yeah, especially as a business owner.
You want to make sure that okay, the minimum pays for this deal.
Sure.
Now, who's going to win? And then that's when you come up with your winning criteria. And then we come up with a marketing package, believe it or not, marketing inside your company. How do you keep people motivated? How do you keep people that this travel incentive is going to reward them, and they're thinking about it every single day, so that if they need to make more phone calls, they say, well, Randy made 10 phone calls today or 100 phone calls today, and he's well ahead of everyone else. So if you're thinking about possibly winning, you need to put in the time too. And everyone says, okay, well, I need to put in more phone calls to make more sales. So you start to see those behaviors that you want to reward and result in actual sales. So it could be emails sent, it could be phone calls made, it could be face-to-face visits with clients, and you mark and you track all that stuff, which ultimately results in the
right. So you can kind of tier the qualifiers or the
Correct.
quantifiers, right? So you're not always just saying, okay, well, it's not just about the bottom line, but you can do like little pocket challenges of, okay, well, this week we're going to see how many people can send the most email, and that helps you get into the certain point range and stuff. So it's really interesting. It's not just sales. And when we talked about that too, our focus obviously is a lot on sales managers because they're the people out there, but you were saying that incentive programs work for administrative personnel as well.
If you think about your salesperson, when they make a sales, now they have to process the paperwork. Who processes that paperwork? That's the admin team. And if they don't do it correctly, what happens? You got to start over.
Right.
Or the client's not happy, the customer's not happy, and then they may not come back. So that admin person is part of that sales team, and that customer service person is part of that sales team. So we can break down more of the incentives that you want to reward, such as properly processed applications.
Sure.
Or 5-star customer service reviews.
Sure.
So these are ways we can put together the overall program that you need to achieve your business objectives, which hopefully is more revenue, more profit, more customers, more market share, whatever it is you're trying to achieve this year. We sit down with you and we design that program, and that the end result is a option to go on a great travel experience for your team.
Have you found that any industries don't respond well to travel incentives? I can't imagine that there would be any, but
no, we have to think of ourselves when we think about to answer that question. Which would you rather have? $1,000 in your bank account or $1,000 cruise where you can go take your entire family on a cruise ship and spend 3 or 4 days with them in an experience they would never have, and just do the math on the economics. What would it take to get a hotel room, go out to a dinner, go out to a show, go to another port, go to sleep, wake up wake up the next day in a different port, do the same thing for 3 or 4 days, going to New York or Atlanta or any of these other big cities? That one night, one weekend alone would cost you well over $1,000.
Yeah.
Where if you get a cruise certificate for $1,000, that's right out of Port Canaveral. Everything's included with that: taxes, fees, gratuities. So basically, you hand them the certificate, and then they get on the cruise ship and they have a good time.
Wow, that's amazing. And those, I'm assuming those aren't redeemable for cash. People really want them to go on the cruise and have that experience. And as a sales manager, after working that hard, to avoid burnout, I would want my team to take a vacation as well. So
and if you do it consistently, month after month, a person can take that certificate and layer them up, and then take the entire value of all those certificates together and apply it to one cruise.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there like a perfect timeline of those? Like maybe you do once a quarter? Does it depend on everybody's sales cycle? Like what do you think is the ideal kind of amount of incentive programs that you could do in a yearly, in 12 months?
Research shows that the longer the program, the better the result. Because people get to understand what the program's about, how to win, how to play, how to do that. So a 12-month minimum would be what I would recommend. 12 months of the program. And then looking at your sales cycle, looking at your business, what do you want to reward? Maybe you have a slow season coming June, July, August. You know that's going to be a slow season. So what are some things that you want people to do during that time to make sure that when things start again in September, your funnel is full and topped off and spilling over, versus starting from scratch. Maybe June, July, and August you want to reward networking events, face-to-face meetings, letters sent. Now you want to send out handwritten letters or thank you cards, so that people are thinking, oh yeah, I got to talk to Randy about a cruise coming up, or I need to go see Erin about putting together a marketing package for me. So that's a constant thing. That touch now is what makes people want to do business with you versus just going on the internet. People would go on the internet, and these are things I was studying as far as sales today. People go to the internet to find information, but they go to the business to find out more about the company.
Exactly, and that's something that that's like all my world, right? So no matter what happens, they either go to the internet, go talk to the business, and then make a buying decision, or they meet the business owner, go to the internet, and then make a buying decision.
Right.
There's always, they're not mutually exclusive. The internet, people don't buy directly just from the internet without doing research. Maybe for $10, $25, $30, I'll go to Amazon and spend that. But when it's things that have higher ticket value, they're definitely going to spend more time interacting with you and with your business to understand kind of what it is that's out there. And reputation's a big one too. And I know you have some awesome reviews for your business, so that's fantastic.
And just to touch on that, when it comes to sales, follow-up is the key, right?
Yeah.
So what a better way to incentivize that follow-up, where you need to have 10 to 12, 15, 20 touches after that initial contact to get that behavior, so people pick up the phone and say, hey, how can I help you? Did you have any more questions? So to motivate that behavior, so it's not a chore to do, but it's something that's fun and exciting, because if they do enough of it, it's going to result in sales plus a reward.
So that brings up a really good question. So sometimes salespeople can be perceived as pushy. Mm-hmm. So have you found that there has to be some sales training education that you put in together in these programs?
Always. Train your salespeople. Never, ever assume they're going to do it on their own. Train your salespeople. So if you have a sales training program, great. If you don't, there's plenty out there. We know people that can help you put together those training programs, but you've got to be constantly training yourself. Every professional athlete, what do? They train. The Olympic gold swimmer, what was the guy? Michael Phelps. How many times does he swim every single day to achieve the results he was achieving? Three times a day minimum. Minimum. So you have the expert, the top of his field. What is he doing? Training to be at the top of his field. Just like any training, salesperson, business owner, entrepreneur, customer service reps, even many times we just take them for granted and hope they have nice personalities. If you invest a little bit of training in teaching them how to read people, how to talk to people, how to interact with people, they have a better customer service experience, which in turn results in return customers. As you know, the hardest dollar to spend is that first customer coming through the door. It's much easier to keep them coming back. But if they don't receive that customer service, it's very easy for your competition to say, yep, we can do that too, and you're going to have a better experience over here. So that's where the point earlier we're talking about, it's not just the sales team that makes that initial sales. You got to have the follow-up. You got to have the customer service. The administrative people have to do their job properly as well, or your customer gets disgruntled, something gets missed, and there's an opportunity for your competition to come in. So it's not just buy a cruise and give it away. Think about what you want to do. Think about the objectives you want to achieve and the revenue you want to achieve, and let's put together a package. It could be as low as $1,000 or up to $10,000, or if you're having a really great year, take your whole company. But make sure they've earned it. Don't just give it away.
Because that's the point. Incentivize. So earlier you touched on the fact that there's like a lot of different tools for people to go and find travel information on. Why do you think it's beneficial to use a travel agency over just me going to Kayak, Expedia, Orbitz, the 900 that are out there? I'm sure there's a new one that's coming today. But talk us through why you think that it's beneficial to use an agency.
Well, the benefit of an agency is you have somebody to call. Somebody to talk to, so that when you have problems or you have trouble, then you can actually call somebody. If you use these large, we'll say website travel sites, you're one of 10,000 people that have a problem. When the volcanoes blew up in Hawaii this past year, there are a lot of people that purchased cheap travel on a travel site, and now they're part of that group that needs to get off the island and come home. Travel agent, you pick them up, say, hey Randy, I need some help. What can you do for me? You know what, Kelly, I got it. I'll give you a call back. Click. Away we go. We go to work. We call the travel agency. We call the airline. We call the hotels. We work through all of that for you. Then we call you back and say, okay, Kelly, here's your hotel. Here's your travel flights. This is what's going to happen, and this is what you're going to do. And you say, great, I'm good to go. And this recently happened. One of the things you also give with a travel agency is you work with travel insurance. You've heard me talk about that. This is a big one. And we recently had a gentleman whose daughter returned from Italy. And during that time, she was going through security and she lost her laptop. It got lost in security. And because she has travel insurance, we had travel insurance for her. She had added benefits of lost personal property during her travel, so that she will be able to make a claim to get reimbursed for that lost laptop. Where if she did not have travel insurance, laptop would have been gone.
That's $2,000, $2,500 that you're out on top of, I'm sure the travel to Italy was kind of expensive too, 'cause she was there for a while, right?
She was there for almost 3 months. And the reason we got travel insurance in the first place was for the medical coverage.
Sure.
If she needed something or something were to happen, travel insurance kicks in, and there's a whole team of travel insurance experts that know what doctors to call, what hospitals to put you on. Most importantly, they can evacuate you from a country and bring you home to the United States, where you have, you know, better care here than you would get in some third world countries.
Right, and you hear that sometimes, like people get really, really sick on the cruise ships, and then they get medevac out because they were smart enough to buy insurance, or they weren't smart enough, and now they have like a $50,000-$100,000 bill that they have to pay on top of their.
The helicopter evacuation, what, 20-25,000 minimum?
Minimum, yeah.
Where if you have travel insurance, it's a phone call.
And when common people think, or people like me, I guess when I think travel insurance, I think travel insurance just protects my travel, but you're saying it's so much more.
Oh, so much more. So much
give
more.
us a little bit more insight into that.
So the practical use today, in today's age, we're getting ready to go into hurricane season.
Yeah, sure.
So you could have a trip cancellation due to a named storm, or you could have trip cancellation for any number of reasons for anybody in your party. So say you and your family were going to go on a cruise to the Bahamas in September, and a hurricane blows in, and you know you can't go. Well, all the plane tickets, all the cruise lines, everything would be covered, because we have to move that cruise ship somewhere else.
Sure.
We have to move that. And say you were going to go on that same cruise, and your sister got sick to the point that she could not travel. Your entire party would be covered, so that you could reschedule that cruise to another time when she could actually attend, because that's part of the entire travel insurance experience. They cover the entire party. So the best way to do is that's one example. Another example is travel delay insurance. We're flying back to Atlanta from New York or anywhere else in the country, and this time of year, the storms shut down the airport.
Pretty much. Yeah.
If you don't have travel insurance, you pull out your credit card and you pay for the hotel, and you have to cover that cost. If you have travel insurance, you pull out your credit card, you pay for the hotel, you make a claim to the travel insurance company, they reimburse you for that hotel.
Is there a minimum travel time that you think insurance is beneficial? Like if you're taking a 2-day trip versus a week trip, like do you think it's still applicable for the shorter time period vacations, or?
From my own personal experience, what I would consider the risk and what you're paying. So if it's a 2-day trip and it's $500, travel insurance, a good number or good estimation is about 10%, so $50. Is it worth the $50 to cover your $500 trip? Say you get sick while you're traveling.
Yeah.
Would it cover that? So those things. If you travel often, we have annual policies that would cover you throughout the year. So if you're traveling every month or 2 or 3 times a month, you buy the insurance policy once for the year, and then you're covered for the year for it. So you have to buy it again and again and again. You have it covered for the year.
And that can apply to businesses as well, right? So there might be some salespeople that travel across the U.S., reps for whatever products. So that would be something that businesses should look into as well.
There's actually business travel insurance. So say you're traveling with your projector and your presentation and all that gets lost in luggage and destroyed. The travel insurance kicks in to make sure that's replaced, so you don't miss your presentation that you got to give the next morning.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Worst nightmare, yeah. So talk us through how travel agents get paid, because I know that's a big misconception in your industry.
That's where a lot of people, when I talk to people about being a travel agent, travel agency, they're like, do those still exist? They think that they don't exist any longer. And one of the reasons they don't think about travel agents is they think that they have to pay a travel agency a fee or something like that. Well, those fees are actually covered by the vendors. We receive a commission from the vendors, and that's how we're paid. So if you're thinking about using a travel agent or not using a travel agent, and you think, well, I don't want to pay a travel agent, you're going to pay the same either way.
Right.
You're going to pay for that cruise. It's just whether the cruise line keeps that profit, or you actually have a personal representative for you to represent you to the travel or to the vendor, like a cruise line. Because when I talk to a cruise line, I'm talking about all my clients. Because if I don't have a good experience with them, I'm going to make the same recommendations to all my clients. If I have a great experience, again, I'm going to make the same recommendation, because I'm representing hundreds of people versus one, where you're representing your own family.
Right. Well, that's interesting too, that like a lot of industries have that kind of common misconception, like real estate agents, especially commercial real estate, they think that they have to come out of pocket for that. But at the end of the day, it's kind of built into the deal. It makes more sense. Plus you're getting convenience. You're paying for that customer service, but it's not costing you more. So it makes total sense. Now, when people think that they can find like cheaper travel online, have you ever been able to like find better prices for people after they've done some extensive research, or is it mostly comparable, but then you're just adding the value of the customer service and things like that?
That's where we add value. We use the same travel engines that everyone else uses on our website. We use, like Expedia is one of our main booking agencies that we work through. So whatever you find on Expedia, we would find as well, and just we would book it. Instead of you calling Expedia, we would call Expedia on your behalf, or we would call the vendor direct. So to answer your question, is it cheaper to go find it on yourself or versus us? We're going to find the same pricing that you're going to find. But one of our frustrations is we do all this research, we hand somebody a package and they say, oh, I can find it $10 cheaper. If you ever notice those travel websites, you want to say, I'm going to book my ticket, and they say, there's only 4 left, it's going to go up. And it goes up 3 hours later, but then you come back the next day and it's back down, maybe even cheaper than what you started with the day before. They're all programmed that way. There's certain code in there driving us to make a decision, to get that urgency. It's all coded that way.
Sure. Yeah.
So something to consider is like, well, I got the better price here, I need to take advantage of it now. You get what you pay for.
Right. And you kind of know what those nuances are. You know what to look for, best time to pick travel and all that kind of stuff too, which is really helpful. So you have a big ship tour coming up on September 14th. So talk us through how people can walk on the boat and see it. I'm so excited.
Oh, and this is invited for anyone that wants to join. Just go to gwsetravel.com, click on ship tour, and on September 14th, we're going to go onto the cruise ship and have a tour of the ship. We're going to see all the rooms that you never get to see. The presidential suite, the owner suite, all those things that you would never get to see. And then we get to have lunch. And the other benefit is we're going to show you those secret areas and how to use a cruise ship as an event platform. How you can train your team, how you can have an award banquet, how you can have an experience on a cruise ship that you wouldn't have anywhere else. So that's one of the reasons we want to do the ship tour, so we can actually show people. It's one thing to talk about it, and I've talked about it all the time, but when you actually see it on a cruise ship and you say, I can do training here, yeah, you can put your whole team here. We can actually bring in speakers. You can take over the cruise lounge and have a motivational speaker or some kind of training go on right here on the cruise ship. And the benefit of the cruise ship is it's all included.
Right.
It's all included. Where if you go to a hotel, you got to pay for the room, you got to pay for your hotel room, you got to pay for your AV, you got to pay for this, pay for that, pay for this. We're on a cruise ship. It's all included. It's all included.
And it's all set up for all that kind of stuff anyway. Like it's designed for that. So that's really helpful. And you said the best way to get in touch with you and learn more information is to go to your website. So just say that URL one more time for us.
It's gwsetravel.com, growspecialeventstravel.com. Just go to that website, click ship tour, and register today. It's going to fill up fast. So, don't hesitate. If you think, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it, just go there, register. We'll call and verify to make sure. If you have to change, that's okay. But if you're not on the list, you don't get on the ship.
Yeah. And I'm so excited. I booked my spot yesterday, so I'm so pumped about this. I can't wait to get on the cruise ship and see it. I don't think I've been on a cruise in like 10 years, but I'm really excited to be on it and sit there. So thank you so much, Rainey, for being on the show today. Thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And if you have any questions about travel insurance, small business or larger business travel incentives, reach out to Randy, and we'll put the URL in the comments below. So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time.